It started when I was a little girl. And so as a little girl, I was one of those children that had the imaginary friends. And so I didn't know what that was. I just knew that spirit would come. I knew that at the time they were just my imaginary friends. They were very loving, very kind. And I just accepted it as my imagination. My household was very spiritual. And so although my mom was very spiritual and her mother, and basically all of the women in my family line, I never made the connection. It wasn't something that I just automatically knew, like, oh, okay, this is spirit that's speaking to me, or I'm all these loaded words, a psychic or medium or an empath. That I didn't know. What I just knew was that the energy that I felt from the other side was nothing but love and nothing but peace. It was just pure loving energy. And I just remember during all of the challenges in my life, or the sadnesses, or people that have passed, every time there was always a loving spirit next to me. There was a loving guide, a loving, encouraging voice. Even if that voice sounded like my own voice, it was just filled with light and love. And so, fast forward to the pandemic, and that's really when I felt that the world, as the world was shutting down literally and we were going into quarantine, that's when I felt that I was shutting down. I felt that something was happening to me and that I was here to be of service, but I didn't know how. I didn't know what that meant. And so, it during that time everyone was sad. There was lots of death happening. There was so much changes. And during that time, as the world was shutting down, I felt that I was shutting down too. And so it wasn't until one day that I did a prayer from my heart, and I prayed to God. I prayed to my angels, and I fell asleep. And when I woke up, my angel was sitting right next to me and said, you haven't been doing what you came here to do, and now this is what you have to do. And so at that moment, I received all the flashes from when I was a child up until that moment. And during that time, it was when things started making more sense to me. All of the visions, all of the images I had as a child, it just made sense. It clicked. Even though my household and my mother and everyone in my family was super spiritual, I wasn't ready before then until that moment. I just wasn't ready. And so throughout my journey, I've read so many books and I've attended so many seminars and done so many circles. But it really wasn't until I met two amazing mentors, and one of them is Stephen Hermann. And why I was drawn to Stephen was just his personality of ease, his humor, the way that he explained things, the way that he broke things down, the way that he describes things in his books. It just made sense. Everything just clicked, and it's just very harmonious and true to where I feel that I was in my mediumship at the time. And so this for me is truly an honor to have Steve here. It's truly an honor to share him with you. And I just know that you guys have already come with your angels and guides because I feel them. They're here, and I'm just so happy for that. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here. Thank you for coming with an open mind and open heart. And I wish nothing but the best and love for you all. I know that today is going to be a special day for everyone. And I just want to say thank you. And most importantly, I really want to thank Steve Hermann for taking the time to be here and to share his gifts, his abilities, and his love with us all. So thank you all. And with that, Steve Hermann, we're ready for you. Thank you, Steve. So excited to have you. Thank you, Steve.
Okay. Well, good evening. I'm really happy to be here. How many of you are happy to be here? You're really excited. But can everyone feel all the good energy? Yeah, so I know this is supposed to be like a book signing, and I'm supposed to talk about myself. But how many of you are able to see the spirits around us? How many of you can see spirit people? How many of you can hear spirit people? How many of you need to be medicated? So, where's the spirit world? I mean, if you really think about it, New York's a pretty big place, isn't it? And you can get lost if you've never been here before. What's the energy like here in New York? It's pretty crazy, isn't it? Yeah, it's very, very, very fast. But the spirit world's literally all around us, isn't it? And it's not like it's in some far-off place. And a lot of times people, they might be brought up with a particular denomination of Christianity, and they have this idea that the afterlife is in some far-off place, but it's literally around us. So the people in the spirit world, it's not like they're any different than they were when they were here. The only difference is they don't have this dense physical body, which is temporary. And if I was really psychic, I could make a prediction. Every single one of you, you're all going to kick the bucket. Hopefully not in the next day or two. But you're all going to pass over. Isn't this true? You're all going to go to the spirit world. So with mediumship, someone is able to sense, they're able to see and feel and hear as well. And they don't need to be medicated, but they can hear the spirit people. And they can convey communications or messages from those individuals. So when you have really good energy, it works really well. I know like later I'm going to be bringing through communications. But all of it is scientific. It's all based on the conditions that are there. So if you were just, let's say you were just really toxic and dysfunctional, which I know you're not, and your energy was like that, is that going to be the best energy to work with? Probably not. Or let's just say you hated this lady's guts. Impossible. But it wouldn't be harmonious. But when there's a lot of love, when you have two or more gathered in the name of God, you create this divine presence. So the spirit world's around us, and it's this much faster frequency of energy. They have to literally lower their rate of vibration to connect with us. And what we have to do is do the exact opposite. So if you're really enthusiastic and excited, it's going to work really, 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 really well. You know, I'm going to be working with the mediumship later, but when I work, every single person who's present is involved with it, is contributing to it. And people don't understand that. You know, they might go to a medium. I want to hear from my mother. Has anyone ever had that happen? And who comes through? Their aunt. And they literally hated the lady's guts, and she comes through. So with what we're going to be doing later, it's something which is completely set up by the spirit world. Well, this could be some type of eerie portal into another dimension.
We thought you were scratching your head.
Yeah, I forgot it's like Friday the 13th, isn't it? Yeah, you can sit right here. Don't be shy. So, but so everything that's going to be happening here, it's something which has completely been set up by the spirit world beforehand. It's not like, you know, it's Friday the 13th, we're just randomly opening up to anybody who comes through. Now, we're in New York. Would you want just to, I mean, I guess all of you live here, don't you? Live in New York? How many of you leave the door to your residence unlocked at night? How many of you leave the door wide open? And you have to ask, what kind of people come into your home? And let's just say you put certain types of substances on your table, or alcohol. What type of people would you attract? The types of people you wouldn't want, hopefully, in your living room. And if you had stuff like that, they might not leave. They might be passed out on the floor when you woke up. So with mediumship, it's the same type of thing. We want to work with the highest. We want to work with the best. And one of the laws of mediumship is like attracts like. So what you put out is going to attract similar-minded personalities from the spirit world who will work with you. And it's really neat because every single one of you has an energy field which is around you. Are any of you able to see auras at all? Can any of you feel auras? Yeah, you can feel really, I mean, like if someone's really toxic, you could feel their energy. Or the wheel of your car falls off and you have to get a new one. And you can feel this sleazy, dishonest sensation radiating from the used car salesperson. So that's your intuition, because thoughts are things and energies are things. So when we start to open up to the spirit world, we start to use our psychic senses. And the psychic senses correspond to our physical senses, don't they? So sometimes people really want to see spirits. You know, do any of you remember the movie The Sixth Sense? you know, I see dead people. So people want to be, do you want to see dead people?
No.
But this is what a lot of people want. They want to develop mediumship so they can do this. But a lot of what you're going to feel, like you've got really good energy. Can everybody feel our nice energy? Her aura? No, it's really, really, really nice. See? So it's something you can feel. And it's not like it's just a feeling. It's actually there in substance all the time. What you're thinking is creating, through your thoughts, a certain type of energy that's around you. And someone who's sensitive is going to be repelled by it or really attracted to it, which is a really good thing. And now you go into the shop, it has a certain type of atmosphere. Right? There's all this healing that goes on here. There's a vibration. Now you can just imagine if, like, let's say 2 or 3 years, this place is still in operation. They haven't shut it down yet. You never know. You know, some special crack SWAT team from across the street will come in here. Actually, that's the best thing to run a racket right across, and they don't even know what's going on. Well, it used to be. I mean, when you get into this stuff, if you go back, just any type of doing readings or you know, the spiritualist movement, which is a religious movement, which the mediumship is part of it. You have real phenomena and you have genuine mediumship. Then you also have people. I mean, can you imagine if you went to Daisy and she said, you know, I'm seeing this dark blotch of energy in your aura, and I need to buy an egg. It's only $2,000, and I'll bury it in your yard. Now, there's people that do things like this. And, you know, the police raid places like that. They send people undercover, which is probably a good thing. But with mediumship, when you start to work on yourself, the energy that you're putting out, it's going to attract similar-minded personalities from the spirit world to work with you. So with what we're doing tonight, later on, I'm going to be working. When we're doing this, it's something that literally has been set up before. So let's say your grandmother was going to come through from the spirit world. That's already been arranged. That grandmother has spent time learning the process. She's even had to rehearse it. And she's being permitted to come through. They vet people. And if the grandmother really didn't want to come through, she's not going to come through. You can't force her. If the grandmother, maybe she's having to do a lot of psychotherapy. Does anyone here do psychotherapy? And everyone raises their hand because it's New York. Well, I remember years ago, I think about a third of my students were mental health specialists. That's because there's a fine line between being psychic and psychotic, which I know doesn't apply to any of you. But it's been set up beforehand. And I work with a team, the spirit band, and they're not musicians, but they're specialists when it comes to the communication. So if your grandmother was going to come through, they function as intermediaries to assist her with the process. It's not just random. And part of learning how to be a medium and developing as a medium, it's also learning how to control what you're doing, how to discipline it and everything. So sometimes, I mean, you can watch this on TV. They have mediums. They go up to people in shopping malls and accost them, right? And just start giving them messages. Has anyone ever seen that on TV? That's not what happens. That's not what we do. Because if you go to a class in mediumship, the first thing you're going to learn is how to open up, when to open up, but also how to close down, right? Because you don't just want to be like a leaky faucet, like walking around, open all the time. That wouldn't be good, would it? Because there has to be reverence for the process of what's taking place. But then the other thing with it is there really is a time and a place, and it's something which involves the participation of higher spirits who set it all up and make it all happen. So I'm very open as a medium, but I really don't walk around like seeing people's energy fields and I go into someone's home, I got there's a poltergeist here, and your child is possessed. I mean, they probably are possessed, but that's not necessarily something which I'm going to be aware of. Now, this is supposed to be an interactive discussion, isn't it? Do any of you have any questions? I know you're thinking of all these things, sir.
So I'm hearing this, and I'm understanding, and I'm looking at some of my own experiences.
Uh-huh.
I can't say that I've seen, but I've felt.
Mm-hmm.
process, like the things that you're talking about are really impactful and interesting, and I resonate with it. So this seems like a great opportunity to understand more.
I'm really glad you're here, though, because it's usually all women, so it balances out. Well, there's one or two token males, but it balances out the energy, which is very, very good. And that's just the whole thing. I mean, every single one of you have brought a lot of spirit people with you as well, which is, I mean, it's pretty neat, you know, because you can really sense all the spirits, and they're avoiding the camera as well, by the way.
Yeah.
But what are some other questions? Because some of you, I know some of you are really, really new to this. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, when you want to know something, who chooses who comes through? Do you choose the spirit, or the spirit chooses you?
Well, okay, let's just say, you know, you're going to go to a medium for a session, and you make the appointment. Well, you have higher guides. You have people who spiritually look after you, right? They're like guardians. And they're going to determine, based on, like, prioritize information, like what's going on in your life. I mean, it could be completely insane in your life right now. Hopefully it's not. But I mean, it's all this crazy stuff going on in your job, your family, your relationships, your children, things like that. So they may decide, you know, that your grandmother, use her as an example, is going to come through. Now, there might also be things with the grandmother where it's way more important that she comes through than your third husband. You don't want that guy coming in, you know? So they don't let him come in. And they have the grandmother come in, and she says all this stuff. Some of it's her own 2 cents. Some of it is, it's really like way beyond her. She wasn't that smart. She wasn't that wise. But it's coming, you know, she's basically speaking on behalf of higher guides. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
So you could go to a medium. I want to hear from my mother. And again, you might have someone else come in because the spirits decide. Now, at the same time, let's say, you know, you really, you know, your husband passed over, something like this, those of you who are married, and you really were devastated. And maybe you go to the medium, you know, please, you know, bring my husband through. You know, depending on the situation, the medium might bring that guy through. On the other hand, it's not something, you can't really call up the spirits. You can ask, but they're the ones who set it all up beforehand. Does that make sense to everybody? So people have this idea, though, that, oh my gosh, you know, I'm spending the $300 for the 15-minute reading with this celebrity medium.
Yeah.
They've flown in from Hollywood. They're going to give readings and stuff. Has anyone ever been to Hollywood before?
Yeah.
I mean, I've done a lot of work in Hollywood, and there's some very interesting people there, to say the least. So all of that doesn't really mean anything. The medium is just the intermediary for the spirits. And it really, when the spirits work with us, it's for the highest good of the individual who's the recipient. And sometimes, this is very important, extremely important, sometimes it's more for the person in the spirit world than it is for the person here. You know, and I said, how many of you do psychotherapy? Well, let's just say you needed like 50 years of psychotherapy. You know, you kick the bucket, you go to the spirit world because you never worked on yourself. You're a mess emotionally. And you go over there, and sometimes, you know, you come through perhaps to a loved one here in this physical world. That's part of your healing process. You know, they actually learn from us. You know, people have this idea that if you go to the spirit world, you're really advanced. And that's not true. If you had an aunt who was a kleptomaniac and stole things from Walmart, it's not like on an ethical type of level she's going to be any better when she goes to the spirit world. If you had, you know, let's say your mom was really nosy about the neighbors, this kind of thing, she's still going to be nosy. And she's still going to stalk you. So the thing is, the spirit world is they're people. They have character flaws. But what's good about it is you go to the spirit world, there's people who work with healing. There's evolved, enlightened teachers who will, just like we have, you know, kids here, they go to school, you have different grades. Some goes to kindergarten, then they're in 5th grade. Next thing you know, they drop out. Hopefully they continue. But what happens? You have different teachers who work with those particular kids at particular stages and where they're at educationally, what they can take in. It's the same thing when someone goes to the spirit world as well. So often, in my own experience, the people you bring through, sometimes they really need it. It helps them. I remember I had this one lady down in Florida once, and she had a very thick accent. She was like from Alabama. I mean, it was really thick. I can't really imitate it too well. And I'm describing these women that are coming through from the spirit world. And she goes, I know her. She was mean to me. And she used a word that rhymes with witch. And she wanted to know, why are these people coming in? So sometimes, obviously, when people go over there has to be, there's remorse because there's retribution, right? There's growth on a soul level, on an emotional level that can take place. But in the physical world, I mean, I have people sometimes, I remember at one time, this is in the UK, I had this woman, she must have been in her 80s, and she came for a session. She wanted to know, is everything going to work out? All these questions like that. And they were like really, 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 really positive, encouraging this woman, really optimistic. I was getting a lot of guidance for her. And then toward the end of the reading, she said, well, that can't be true. I'm miserable. I'm unhappy. I know I'm miserable. I'm unhappy. None of that's ever going to happen. It's never going to work out. I know I'm miserable and unhappy because this other medium said that I was going to be this way. She really believed this. Can you imagine that? So that's not really the way things are. I mean, we have to do the work, right? We have to put the effort in. But the doorway to reformation, the pathway to progression, it's never slammed shut, even on Friday the 13th. Yeah, right over here.
Is it possible for someone to speak to you who you've never met?
It happens all the time. How many of you know your grandparents? And probably a lot of you don't. I don't know my grandparents. I knew my mom's mom just a little bit when I was very little. She passed when I was like 4. But I only knew her just a little. And if she came through, I probably wouldn't recognize her. Now, my mom's father was one of 12 siblings. Do any of you have like families with lots of... So the thing is it's particularly people who, a lot of times younger generation, for example. I might be working with a mom and a daughter, for example. And the mom knows everybody. And then the daughter is just like, for whatever, can't recognize, can't identify the people. But then the mom will completely know. So if you really care about someone, like some of you may have kids, and let's just say, something happened, you passed over, and then your kids had kids, you'd still look at them. Maybe they never ever got a chance to meet you. You'd still be watching out for them in most cases, wouldn't you? Yes?
Do you ever get indirect messages? Let's say you and I were talking and someone came through that wanted to deliver a message to someone else.
Yes, yes.
Does that happen?
Yes, that does. And the reason they do stuff like that, it'd be like, let's just say, I know, May, you work here with Daisy. And you're employed by Daisy. So let's just say, I was working with Daisy, and you were having all these really horrible things going on. You want to go to the Empire State Building and jump off. It's that severe. And just using this as an example. And your uncle came through from the spirit world, really concerned about, Daisy says, who the heck is this guy? And, I start describing this. I'm describing, she can't place him at all. Like, who the heck is this? Because she doesn't know any guy who dressed up like Bugs Bunny on Halloween. And I describe all this stuff about him. And then he starts talking about, this young woman, works, and describes you, and she can place it as you. And, perhaps he would also be talking about, whatever the problems would be. Why? Because they'd want to have Daisy somehow help you. So the spirits, and this doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen, and they will do that. And it's really disturbing for some people, because like I said, they spend all this money, they go to a medium, and someone else's relatives come through. Like the husband's out in the car waiting, and everyone comes through for the husband. And all the messages are for the husband, and the wife spent all the money. So you don't really know. It's very experimental every time you do it, but it doesn't just happen haphazardly. It's been planned out. even though it might come across as though the medium is very, 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 very spontaneous when they work. Are you spontaneous? A little bit. Sometimes, yeah, you got to be. I was going to say, do you break dance? No. Little do you know, this is all really part of a reality show. So it's very good that you didn't have that guy, do the video on you, because this is live right now internationally.
I got a question.
Yes.
Since you've worked with spirits and
Uh-huh.
higher realms, do you have a clear idea of what happens when the lights are off for us when we cross over?
Oh, the lights are off. Well, the lights.
So there's a lot of theories, right?
Well, the best way to find out is to talk to people who've made the transition to the spirit world. And there really aren't lights that go off. The lights go on. Lights are off here.
But when it comes to the theories of everybody, like let's say the religious aspect of it,
Uh-huh.
and also being an atheist, which is like the whole other side.
Well, what happens with atheists, because I have them come through all the time. In fact, I love having atheists come for sessions because they're in for a rude awakening, trust me. Doesn't matter what someone believes, all of this is scientific. And what I mean by scientific, it's factual, objectively. It's not something which is just based on, oh, I believe this, or, we speculate on different things. So you have a physical body. Everyone has a physical body, but we're not, just like I'm not this coat, we're not our shirts, we're not our pants, we're not our socks. We're actually the soul. But there's also a subtle body, an energetic body, which interpenetrates the physical body. So that energy body leaves at the end of when the physical body is destroyed, and the personality stays intact. So if the asteroid were to hit Queens in a couple minutes, you went over, you'd be the same person. And you can, it's, in some ways, your awareness is even more expanded in that environment. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's just interesting to have your perspective
Mm-hmm.
on it, because everybody can't agree on one thing, like in religion.
Well, there's a lot of, religion is really, really, really good. Any type of spirituality is good if it helps people get closer to God, and also if it helps people to develop their spirituality, their devotion to God, and just develop their character, their morals and their ethics. That's like really, really, really important. So people, if someone is very, very, very materialistically oriented, all that does is cover them over, and it's not really a good thing, because you can get a lot of material gold, which is kind of nice, but what's more important is the spirituality, because that's putting money in the right bank account. So that's something to think about. And so someone who's really developed that actually will go to a bit of a higher level than someone who's just, maybe even someone who really espoused a lot of dogma theologically. That doesn't necessarily make someone more evolved unless they're actually living it, so to speak. But there's different religions here in the physical world, and just like we have different grades for kids, and they're oriented toward people at certain places. Go.
When did you identify and develop this in yourself?
Gosh, well, I've been meeting mystic my whole life. So the first time the spirit world spoke to me is when I was 2, which is totally normal. Like Daisy's got 2 kids. One is 5 and one is 9, right, Daisy? And they talk to the spirits all the time, and they're really open because their mom's encouraging. So those of you who have kids or if you have grandchildren, you want to encourage them. All of this stuff is totally natural. It's not something like artificial, like NutraSweet or something like this. It's something which is really holistic, and it's a really good thing. And who else is raising their hand? Well, we'll have you, and then we'll go to you.
Do the spirits, when they're crossed over on the other side, do they still have feelings of jealousy, resentment?
Yeah, they can.
Because my aunt went to a medium and she was worried about dating since her husband passed. And the medium told her, oh, when you go over to the other side, it's all, she made it sound like it's all just peace and love.
Well, the thing is, like I say, if you're really dysfunctional and you go over there, there's definitely like higher awareness and higher knowledge, but you don't go from step A to step Z. Usually, if someone kind of evolves a little bit more, they're going to realize there's no point in being jealous and possessive or something like that.
Right.
That doesn't mean that they wouldn't necessarily, because people are in different places and everything. So sometimes people have this idea, what color outfits do patients wear in hospitals? Is it teal or white? I guess it depends. And like nurses wear so in the spirit world, do you think everyone wears like these teal gowns or white gowns and everything's perfect? No, I mean, people, like I say, people have the same defects, the same psychological baggage that they have when they're here. And it's not that they don't have the opportunity to work through, but people have the same opportunity in their physical lives, but they often don't put any kind of energy into it. And that's not a good thing, is it? No, because you know what I'm talking about with all this stuff. But how about, you had a question too?
So my question's kind of general, but
Okay.
so do you think mediumship chooses you, or do you feel like you chose mediumship?
Gosh, probably both, because you have free will. But there's definitely some people that come into this life, just like you might have someone, maybe they've had a lot of past lives, they've done a lot of art. So they come in, from day one, they're really drawn to it, or maybe they're really into music, they can play music really well. So where did those skills come from? It's stuff they've brought in, you see. So with mediumship, you definitely have someone, like let's say someone like Daisy. I mean, maybe she, in certain past lives, worked with healing. It could have been some indigenous tribe in some part of the world. She worked with people that way. So it's only natural that in this life she's going to be drawn to the same type of thing. We bring in, because we're eternal spirit souls, so we bring in a lot of tendencies like karmically. A lot of our hang-ups too. Sometimes it's from when you're little, growing up, if you have whatever the background is in your family, but you also bring stuff in from before you were born as well, which explains certain tendencies, there's certain patterns and everything too, which are there, which is pretty cool. Yes?
I had a question, kind of following up to what you're saying.
Uh-huh.
How do souls, when do souls attach to physical bodies?
Well,
And
you have the presence of, we're eternal spirit souls, so there's never been a time when you haven't existed. Qualitatively, you're the same as God. Quantitatively, you're not, because you're small. God's big. But the same quality, right? Just a small potency, but God's a bigger potency. So you have like physical conception, but the soul exists before conception. So you can't have life without the presence of the soul. So once you have conception, the soul is present, and then you have the development of the body inside the mom. And that goes on, whether it's 6 months or 9 months, or keep the kid in there for a while before you let the kid out. And then it continues, throughout your whole life. But eventually, what's going to happen is the body isn't going to work, and you're going to have to leave it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yes.
Is it also true that when you are pregnant, the soul is already with the mother?
The soul's there, yeah, the soul's there even before pregnancy, but at conception, you can't have, life comes from life, so in order for there to be a developing body, you need to have the present. It's not just like growing a wart or something like that. There's actually a spirit soul that's inside the womb.
This gentleman's been raising his hand.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's what happens when you sit in the front row.
Good. I'm sitting over here. So, you said something earlier about the male presence in the room, which made me want to ask you this question. So, what I find is this field of things tends to, at least from what I've seen, mostly attract women.
Yes.
And if it's men, it seems to be a lot of gay men.
Yeah, that's
So
correct.
I'm curious to hear your take on why that is.
Well, it has to do with, I'm not gay, but a lot of the males who get into mediumship or become psychics, this type of thing, has anyone else noticed that? A lot of them are gay.
I'm gay.
Oh, yeah, well,
So, yeah.
if you're gay, you're going to be really, really, really like in touch with the sensitivity part, the nurturing part. So women, biologically, they're naturally, as being potential moms, the feminine qualities, which are nurturing, and the sensitivity, it's going to be an awareness of energy. So everybody has that to some extent. So for whatever reason, someone who's gay, they're very in touch with the feminine in that way. which is most men, not that it's not there, but they just, they're conditioned not to get in touch with it. Right. You also see that most people who get into mediumship, they're also tend to be really working with like art or music. They really work their creative endeavors. Because when you work with your creativity, what's going to happen is you're naturally going to be getting in touch with the psychic abilities as well. Now, is anyone here an engineer? Is anyone married to an engineer?
I left my architect career.
Well, that's still creative. But if you're really like rigid with your thinking and anally retentive and everything, very everything is the rational mind, which you need your rational mind if you're designing an airplane, right? You want to make the wings so they're not going to fall off during flight. But when it comes to this, you have to be really connected with your sensitivity. Otherwise, there's going to be a problem. It's not a logical type of thing. So sometimes I might have a student, and they're really analytically oriented, and I'll tell them, to get cards, right? To work with the cards for doing readings. And that's because they can just look at the cards, and it helps the rational, analytical mind to get out of the way and everything. But really, if you're working in mediumship, you don't need any type of device. You can just directly connect in. And it's pretty cool. And the energy's gotten even stronger since these last people came in. It's good that you guys are here. Yeah, over here.
I'm sorry, I was just fixing my glasses.
Oh, in the back.
Does spirit communicate with you through symbolism, or do you hear a voice? How does that work? Are they having a conversation with you?
They communicate telepathically, and it's not like one of these B Hollywood movies, science fiction movies. So you can mentally hear voices or sounds. You can actually, see the spirits, and they oftentimes will use symbology when it comes to clairvoyance. It's like a psychic shorthand. And in my first book, I should plug my books too, there's a whole chapter on psychic shorthand, how to work with it. Why? Because one picture is literally worth 1,000 words. So they use what's inside your mind as a medium, right? And they'll bring that up, which can be literal and it can also be symbolic. Does that make sense?
It does. So do you have like a symbol toolbox, your own symbols that you use?
Well, I have people who work with me from the spirit world, so they don't really use too many symbols with me, but if they do use symbols, because there's a feeling that goes and a knowing that goes with any type of image, which I just verbalize as I'm getting it. But yeah.
Steve, the web is on your head. He's quoting
When you said that earlier, the guides pick the people that are going to come through with the message.
Yes.
Who are the guides?
Who are the guides? Well, I could name drop, but we're not going to name drop. Now I know, Daisy, you've got all these high guides, and it's like a shopping. This is a nice way. A shopping list, all these high guides, name a saint, they're around her. But it doesn't really matter who they are. What really matters is, are they dependable? Are they spiritually oriented? And you test the spirits, you test the medium. You don't just believe because someone says they're channeling something or God knows what. It's not. They might just be deluded out of their minds. No one's deluded here, I know that. But if someone says something to you, don't just throw out your common sense and your intelligence, question it, because the spirit will go way out of your way. So everybody has guardians. There's also spirits that work with people in a general sense to try to help people. So I used to live in Washington, D.C., and there's all these attorneys there, lobbyists, and some of them are just really kind of slimy energy. That in a nice way. Now, that doesn't mean that there's not higher personalities trying to impart wisdom to those people, trying to get them to go about things a little bit differently, you see. We just had all that horrible things that took place in Israel. Now, can you imagine that? If you're in that situation and you, like some little kid, and that's it, you're in the spirit world. You don't know, you have no idea what's even happened. And you're emotionally distraught, devastated by this. There are people in the world of spirit that work with those types of situations to help people like that with a transition. Literally. And so sometimes people think, my gosh, if I pray for people, is that going to work? But you see, thoughts are things. And the energy that you put out, whether a person's in the same room as you, across the room, or even in another continent, the thoughts that you send out actually touch people and affect people. Same thing, someone goes to the spirit world, they need help. Well, the energy that you send out helps them to go up to a higher level. I know they do that in Catholicism, don't they? Anything Roman Catholic, right? You pray for people. So that's something which is, even actually in all religions, it's something which is universal, which is a very good thing. This one lady I worked with in Florida, oh my gosh, that's my second husband's mother. Oh my gosh, that's my fourth husband's grandmother. All of them were buried in the back. I'm joking. But she was married like 4 or 5 times, so you can have in-laws come through too. Your ex-boyfriend's grandmother or whatever. It's not always the 5 people you expect. The other thing is the guidance that comes through, that's also coming in from guides. So even though they might have your aunt come through, there's usually other information that's going to help you on a practical level as well as a soul level. And it helps to be able to hear the sound of your voice. Now, how many of you have ever been to watch a medium work and they'll ask all these questions? Does anybody know somebody here with the letter E in their name? Has anyone ever seen this before? Yeah. Does anybody know somebody, a man in the spirit world, he liked to drink water? Who can place this? Or do you know a woman who liked to drive a car? So when I work, I don't ask any questions. I just say things as a statement, and I don't shut up. It's like one long run-on sentence with very few commas or periods. So that's really cool, because a lot comes through. Like if I'm working, I'm not going to shut up. The problem is you can be trying to figure out one thing I'm saying, trying to analyze it, and I'm on to another 4 things, and you miss it all. So if there's something you're not sure about, it's okay to stop me. That way I can get clarification. Does that make sense? Yeah. And we've got a really big group. I want to reach as many of you as possible. Wouldn't you like that? Yes. There's a lot of really good energy here. And the other thing is, once I do start, I'm going to say a prayer. I'm going to have you guys sing a song or two, because I really want the officers across the road to hear it. They're going to evict Daisy afterwards. And then we're going to work. So while I'm working, please don't get up and leave or something. Does that make sense? Because at the very end, we'll have some type of closing prayer. All of you are batteries and you help. Now the singing, what's really good with the singing is it really does kind of build up the energy, expands your energy field. And it's really neat too when it's on videoed. When we have the live part, the reality show. But any questions before we start out? Okay. So I'm just going to say a prayer, and then I'm going to have you sing a song or two. Divine Spirit God, we ask for truth and light. We ask for the best, the highest to join with us. We ask information and guidance that will help those present with the practical as well as the spiritual. We ask that their angel loved ones and guides, that they join with us, and I ask that I be used as a clear and an accurate instrument for the highest and the best. And may the words of my mouth, the meditations of my heart be acceptable in your sight. Infinite Spirit, my strength and inspiration. Amen. All right, so we can sing is You Are My Sunshine. Does everyone know this? So I don't know any pumpkin songs for Halloween, but so we'll do You Are My Sunshine. And no lip syncing, so it goes. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. The other night, dear, as I lay sleeping, I dreamt I held you in my arms. When I awoke, dear, I was mistaken, so I hung my head and I cried. Oh, yes, I did. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. And let's do This Old Man. Does everyone know This Old Man? Okay, so this old man, he played knick-knack on my thumb with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give the dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played too. He played knick-knack on my shoe with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give the dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played three. He played knick-knack on my knee with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give the dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played four. He played knick-knack on my door with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give the dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played five. He played knick-knack on my hive with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give the dog a bone. This old man came a-rolling home. This old man, he played six. He played knick-knack on my sticks with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give the dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played seven. He played knick-knack up in heaven with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give the dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played eight. He played knick-knack on my gate with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give the dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played nine. He played knick-knack on my spine with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give the dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played 10. He played knick-knack now again with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give the dog a bone. This old man came rolling. Okay. There's a crowd gathered over in the lobby there, and they're all looking up. No, just kidding. Up in the windows looking out. All right. Hopefully the SWAT won't come. So, when I do come to you, you want to be able to give me the sound of yours. There's a lot of spirit people here. I'm actually going to start out with this young woman right here. May I come to you, please? Me? Yeah, you. Sure. All right, God bless you, because the word teacher is being written out, and there's a woman that comes through here. I don't know the language she's speaking. She's not speaking English. But it's interesting because she's demanding that I learn things very, 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 very popular. And it's interesting because I feel her, I'm seeing her working with kids. They would have different culture, different language, and she knew how to connect with them and get them integrated in with the other language and the other cultures. And it's quite interesting because she wouldn't come up the stairs if she was here. She wouldn't be caught dead going to this type of thing. However, now that she's in the world of the spirit, she sees things very, 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 very differently. And I just want to say, in a good way, you have a big mouth. And you're already seeing, and it's funny because there's a gentleman that steps through here from the spirit world. Now, I've got multiple people here, and I've got two gentlemen. One's older, more like a father, and he really has an issue with the other one because it'd be like if I'm having dinner, the other one's going to show up just so he can mooch off the food. I mean, this is what I'm being shown. And his attire, it smells. His attire, he's definitely not very presentable. The older gentleman, his suit, I mean, I've got, okay, suit. This gentleman's suit, he really places a lot of emphasis on presentation. You know, you're going to go to someone's place, I always ask first. I always, the etiquette that's involved. I mean, you're going to get, if someone sends you the card, he's going to make sure that he sends one too. But I also see him at holidays inviting people over who had absolutely nothing. He would bring in the whole family, is what I'm being shown. And I want to say that was more important, that they get the gifts, because they're lacking, than people in the family here. Because he's taking your expensive shoes and he's giving them to people who have absolutely nothing. And I just feel that when he was quite older, he's with an older woman who feels like his mother that comes in here, and she's taking the shoes, she's collecting them, mismatched some of these things. She's fixing them up for people who literally, I feel they're like homeless. There's older people, and they're on the street. I don't know where this took place, but I want to say that in a charitable sense, you're giving. Now I don't need to pay you any money for a reading. You'll just open your mouth and let the stuff come through, and you're clairaudient, because I heard the buzzing. Now, I felt like I was out west, literally, because I saw the Native American that comes through here from the world of spirit. So I just want to say here, you've got the right connections. You need to stick to it, because you get diverted. And I feel they're going to be working with you, so you have much better boundaries. Now, I'm hearing Peter, and I'm hearing Paul, and I'm hearing Mary. And I feel I'm dealing with two males, and they feel like siblings that come in here. And I just want to say that the Mary was always giving, always trying to hold things together. But really, although her intention was the right thing, she lacked the boundaries, and she's helping you, is what I'm being shown here. There's also a gentleman that comes in here, and I'm not sure the relationship with this. I don't feel I'm particularly old with this gentleman, but he says the wrong things to the wrong people. And it was very, 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 very serious, because I just feel they pulled the trigger and that was it, and he went to the world with spirit. But again, it's what he put out that caused the whole, the reaction that would have taken him to spirit in the first place, is what I'm being shown here. Mm-hmm. And he's very, it's like someone who wants to carry a gun, but they really don't know how to use it. And I feel he says, I bit off more than I could chew, are the words I'm hearing here. And he's always bragging. I wouldn't want to let him use my car, because he'd take it on a joyride and he'd mess it up. And I just feel he says the wrong things to the wrong people. I feel particularly when he would have been dealing with women, because I just feel, so there were people who did not like his approach, which really would have led to him going over to the world of the spirit. Also, I'm a Stephen with a PH, but I feel I've got the word, the Steve, that part of a name that comes in here as well. And he's giving you it's like a racing type of bike, is what I'm being shown here. And I just want to say here that he's working with you from the hips all the way down in terms of the circulation. So they're going to be doing a lot more of the movement through that part of the body. So there's someone here who used to have a trampoline. And I'm not sure if it's on the top of the roof or what, but I feel like I want to be a gymnast, because I'm practicing. I want to go into the Olympics. But they're very, very diligent and very, very, very serious here. And there's also this is a child on a physical plane level, who also, I'm not sure this particular athletic or sport endeavor, but I feel you want to sponsor this kid and actually help this kid. Because I just feel the adults who are around this child, they don't take it seriously, and they're unable, is the sense I'm getting here. So I feel that they're helping you to lend out, not lend, but to give out. In this particular case is actually a good thing. That comes in from the grandmother. She's just going out in the street looking for those who have absolutely nothing. The idea of Jesus reaching out to people. So I'm going to leave you with all of that, and I'm going to say, God bless you. And they're turning the lights. I just saw them flickering on and off. And it's interesting. We're going to be doing a lot more things like that, is what I'm being shown here. And that gentleman that comes in, it's all through the area of very, very, very emotional. Again, I feel his life was taken. But he has all these really slick shoes, slick jackets. He tries to dress so impressive. But he's not someone, if I were a young woman, that I'd want to get involved with. So I'm going to leave you with that. And I'm going to say, God bless you. And I want to come in the back. May I come to you, please? May I hear your voice?
Yes.
Okay, God bless you, because I have someone who comes in here from spirit, and he's joking, he's joking, he's joking, he's joking, he's joking. And it's funny, because he doesn't want to, first he didn't want to show me because there are no teeth. They're certainly not in good condition, so he's keeping his mouth. But it's interesting. He confronted people, and he was a bit of a jerk to people here too. And I just feel with this guy, he could be very vindictive. People didn't do it. You wouldn't want him as a neighbor. I just feel he got far through bullying or pushing other people. This is someone who is very used to getting his way, is what I'm being shown here. And I feel here, as he comes through here, from the world of spirit. You're helping him with his growth. Your approach to dealing with people, you're able to negotiate, and they're actually learning from you. And I just feel right now in the present, there are some people with a similar vibration. There's one woman in particular. Put her in her place. It's the best thing that you could actually do for her. And I feel if I have to take, I'm not sure if it's necessarily legal action, but if you have to take some more severe action with this, it's the right thing to do, is what he's saying here. And he's showing me his boat. I just feel like I want to put it in my drive, but he's very impressed with this whole boat. And it's funny because I don't really see him using it a lot. It seems like it's just there. You know, he's got it on dry land half the time. But I feel with this gentleman, I wish that I'd actually gone to the Atlantic more. I wish that I'd actually gone out more. And there's a regret with this. This gentleman also, I don't see him doing a lot of traveling. I don't feel him doing a lot in terms of expanding his own mind. What you're doing is actually doing that. And I also feel, even though right now you might feel a little bit boxed in, you are going to be doing a lot of traveling, is what he's talking about here. Also, there's an Anthony or Tony. That name is, and I want to say Tony the Tiger. And it's funny here because there's a little boy, and I don't know if his hair is, it looks more reddish or yellowish as I see it, but he's got a little, I don't know if this is a costume of pajamas. This is different than the man I described. He passed the world of spirit, but he was always getting into things. He's a bit of a Dennis the Menace type, and that's the whole problem. Whatever he got into would have caused him to actually pass in an accidental type of sense, is what I'm feeling here. I also just feel with this kid, I feel like I'm going to go into some place and I'm just going to take the stuff. You know, I feel like I took this kid into a shop. After I went to the shop, I'd want to have to go through everything and make sure, hey, what is in your pocket? You know, what's in here? And I just feel he's even putting things in his socks, are the memories here. And I just want to say here, as they come in here from the world of the spirit, the kid, in both the older one, the Tony, and the kid are around you quite a bit. I'm hearing bells that are ringing. So they're doing more things to signal you and to make you aware of their presence. Also, I know Valentine's Day is February 14th, but I want to give you anniversaries around that time. I also feel like there's someone here, and he's giving me these really mushy, they're like Italian pickup lines. I mean, they're really, this guy is sleazy, but he knows how to get these young girls, you know? He knows how to get them right in, and then the fathers want to kill them, and probably all 6 brothers too. And he's just saying, he was fortunate that he didn't get castrated, are the words I'm hearing. Because I just want to say there would have been that kind of reaction, you know, because I feel these girls, you know, oh gosh, he loves me, he's really serious. And that wasn't his intention, is what I'm being shown here. But he's serenading you as he comes in. He's very, very smooth, but he knows all the things to say to the mother, all this stuff. But he doesn't have good intentions, are the words here. And he's around, he's interested in all this stuff. Now, if he were here, he'd be chatting up all you women. You know, he's like this, and you could be with your husband. I mean, that's just his whole nature is what I'm being shown here. I see him drinking, so I feel he would have had problems in that area. Now, he's bringing in a fellow from the world of spirit. He's actually, you know, his build's a bit stirred. This is different, but the first guy I just described is bringing him in. And I just feel like I'm driving, I'm not in the right state of mind from the drinking, and I pass to spirit very quickly. And I just feel that there's a lot of, on the part of this guy, massive amounts of regret here. And I just want to say, whatever he was blamed for, he feels responsible. So this is something that didn't just take him to the spirit world. I'm not sure if it took others to the spirit world, but I feel there would have been others who would have been, you know, injured or passed over from the result as well. And he's gone over to a higher level. I see him working with young, like kids, so they don't do the same type of thing, is what I'm being shown here. You know, they have that mothers against drunk driving, but this is like spirits who drunk drove and passed over, working against people to prevent that from happening, is what I'm being shown. Also, there's someone, this is a girl, on a physical plane level, and I'm looking under the car seat, and I'm seeing a bottle. And I just want to say here that it's not that she's necessarily drinking, but there's others who she's driving while she's using the vehicle who would be involved in that. And I feel like I want to take those keys away to prevent something from actually happening and this is on a physical plane type of level. So I'm going to leave you with that and say, God bless you. And sir, may I come to you, please?
Yes.
All right, God bless you. Because I have a man who's studying this all. And I want to talk about Star Trek with you, because I have someone here who really, I mean, he could write like Star Trek. He could write science fiction. Brilliant mind. And he's taking me into an observatory, you know, because I'm seeing all the planets up above, like models of them. He knows where all the stars, all these different galaxies, and he's very, 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 very interested in all this. He's interested in, you know, the exploration of things like that. So he's got that type of tendency when he was here. However, all of this type of thing, if you were to take him, he would think it was a bunch of bunk, is what I'm being shown here. I don't see him believing in anything. I mean, if you talked about him, like, you know, life after this is someone who was an atheist. I've had to eat my words, he's saying, as he comes to hear from Spirit. And it's funny because he's very, like, I could have a very nice, in-depth, intellectual conversation with this man if he were here. He's and very, very actually open-minded. However, when it comes to this, I mean, I don't feel it's ever anything ever investigated on his own. He wouldn't believe any of this. And he's giving me memories here. I feel I'm in Manhattan, and I'm going to a Marvel Comics comic book convention with him, is what he's showing to me. And it's interesting because I feel like I want to meet Stan Lee, and I want to have him autograph my Amazing Spider-Mans. This guy is into a lot of the same kind of comic book type stuff that I'm into. And it's funny because I like this guy's personality. Now that he's in spirit, I just want to say here, he's definitely sees things differently when it comes to the communication, but I also want to talk about your ideas in a creative type of sense. You're brilliant. I don't know. I mean, it's not just writing comic books. It would be like if I were going to do some type of weird science fiction movie. You've got all these types of ideas. You need to connect with people who can actually make it happen for you, is what I'm being shown here. It's like not what you know, it's who you actually know here. And I just feel that he does come in here, and I'm smelling cigarette smoke all around me as he comes through. I'm even smelling my clothes, and they smell like cigarette smoke. So I feel with you, I feel like, because he's just smoking, I feel that you're going to be sensing his presence, but also with the smell of the cigarettes is what I'm being shown here.
So pay attention.
And he's very, very, very picky. Now, the other thing that's very interesting with this guy is he's giving me, there's like those big pipe things they have in Turkey. You know when you go to those, I don't know what they're called, but yeah, they have got all the weird tubes and stuff. He's showing something like that to me. And they've got the water and it mixes in and they put the stuff in. He's showing those types of things with me. I feel like I'm going into some type of exotic, like, pipe shop or tobacco shop. I'm not sure if this is just for tobacco or what this is, but these are the memories I'm getting here. And it's funny because I just feel with this guy, he's got this whole scientific, rational, but then it's this whole fantasy type side. You've done all the engineering, you know, the science part. You need to now expand the creative stuff. And I do feel someone who would be able to produce or make the stuff happen who's already established. It's just a matter of kind of connecting and sharing with them is what I'm being shown here. And he's giving me, like, they're collectible types of cards. So these may be Marvel ones that have the stickers with the characters on it. But I just feel that it's like the creativity that went into those types of things. You know, even the merchandise that would have been, he's into all of that stuff. He respects all of that, is the feeling I'm getting here. And he likes my sense of humor, too. So I'm going to leave you with all of that, and I'm going to say, God bless you. May I come to you, please? And I've got a parachute on. This does not feel like a military type of situation. I see him wanting to take a girl on a date and do that, and she's not going to jump, but he'll do it. And I just want to say here, he takes a lot of risks, a lot of risks. Like you could say, don't go to that place, it's dangerous. He'd go there, you know? And he's like a brother, and he's whistling. And I just feel like he could go to another country, he could pick up some girl who lived there. He's very charismatic, very outgoing with his personality here. He also likes me. And I just want to say with you, he's around you, and he's taking things. Don't blame anybody else. No one's stealing things from you. He's taking things and putting them other places, and you're going to get the stuff back. And I just want to go into your own relationship types of situations here. Sometimes if something does not go the way we want it to go, it's actually better. Because, and they might go off with someone else. That other individual will see what they got into. And I just want to say with you, when it comes to, I just see you being very, 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 very picky. He's going to be helping you to connect with someone on a physical plane level, is what I'm being shown here. And it's funny here because I see him when he was younger. He might have been about 12, 13, entertaining people, doing magic tricks for the family, is what I'm getting here. He shows this to me. You know, it's like amateur type stuff is what I'm being shown here. And I want to just say here that he's around you quite a bit. He's older than you. I feel I'm dealing with more of an uncle when I feel the vibration here. And I wanted to say here, as he does touch through here, from the world of the Spirit is, you're starting to open up a lot more to their influence. By going to this, by involving yourself, you've opened it up a lot more. We're actually going to be able to come through is what I'm being shown. Now, he's going into your refrigerator, is what I'm being shown here. And I'm not sure if he's taking things from your refrigerator or he's putting things into your refrigerator. So if you find money, coins, or something like that, I just feel he's going to be doing something here, literally on a physical level, with the content of your refrigerator is what I'm being shown here. You can be very, 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 very serious, also the analytical part. So it's almost like you have to, in a nice way, you have to be hit over the head. They have to do this stuff to you to demonstrate is what I'm being shown here. And I feel as he comes in here from Spirit, he's also showing me, I feel I want to go into the 80s with 1976, but I feel like I'm going to the 80s with some of the memories of this too. And he's showing me, we've got the guy doing the video stuff in the back. I want to talk about someone who actually would have made, like I could be 13, 14, making videos, like doing things like this, like making his own things. He had a lot of also interest in animation, doing stuff like that. And I want to just say here that, and again, I'm more like an uncle. I'm more removed, like that's within your family. And I'm hearing brother with that as he comes through here from the world of the Spirit. He's older than you physically, but this is somebody who's been, he's right here. He's coming in from the world of the Spirit. And I do see him literally jumping out of a plane. He would do that. It's not military. It's not like he's an airborne. This is something to, for fun or for recreation is the sense I'm getting here. And I feel with you that he's helping you. They want to, on relationship-wise, they want to bring, I just want to say here, and this comes in from someone like a mom from the world of the Spirit, because she's also coming here. I just want to say with your own relationships, her approach with whatever her relationship was, I see her being very, very, very smothering, is what I'm being shown here. You don't want to be that way. I just want to say here, you're going to find someone who knows how to put up with you in a good way, where it's actually a very good match, is what I'm being shown here. And I'm seeing you on the top of the observatory of the Empire State Building with this guy. And I just feel he likes things like that. And the guy in Spirit, because he liked heights too. Most people don't. So it's like going up there and having your picture taken is what I'm being shown. So I'm going to leave you with all of that. And I'm going to say, God bless you. And may I come to you, sir? Sure. All right, God, I'm really glad that you guys were able to come. I'm seeing a rainbow between the two of you. And I have someone who's coming in here from Spirit. This is a woman. May I come to you too? Because she's got, the older Coke bottles? Yeah. She's got it all in ice, but then she's also giving like root beer in ice. She likes this guy. And I want to say here, you need to tone it down with your words. You can be very, very, very harsh. Also, I feel you need to be careful because I see you being pulled over by a cop. Now, you might not drive at all here in New York, but I just want to say here, you telling the cop off. Don't do that. Listen to him more. His approach to dealing with conflict. I also want to talk about, I want to talk about neighbors, and I want to talk about, I don't know what it's like difficulties with, difficult, you would make it worse if you confront them. You need to handle it. You would be a very, 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 very good attorney. If you're not in law, you should go into that. And I want to say I would hire you, because you could smooth it out, where you have adversarial people working against each other. Now, there's a gentleman that comes in here from Spirit. I feel I'm older generation. He's got the glasses like you. He's your build, but he puts the weight on through here. And it's funny because he doesn't like wearing a suit. He likes to dress casually. If he's the one in charge, he's going to know all of the people subordinate to him on a first-name basis. Very down-to-earth on the same level. I'm not sure if he's necessarily an attorney, but I want to talk about like negotiation types of skills. Now, you need to exercise these a little bit more. Not on the behalf of others so much, because you do that all the time very well for yourself and what's best for yourself. So wherever you are right now, or the position you're in, what you're getting out of it, even the physical location, you need to say, hey, this is not working for me. Now, she might nag you about it, the woman next to you, but really, it's not right on multiple levels, and you need to negotiate this. And I just want to say here that if I were employing you, I don't know the whole context of this, it would be worth it for me to give in to whatever your things to make it better for you is what I'm being shown here. So I feel most likely they're saying if you do this, you'll end up getting what you want. Should these people not go along with it, you can go somewhere else and you'll do much better. I also want to say, I literally feel you going somewhere else geographically too, location-wise. And I want to say it would be actually, it's going to open up opportunities for you that I just feel you're stifled in the present situation is what they're being shown here. Now it's funny because there's also a gentleman that comes in here from the world. This is different than who I described before. And I just see him being very, 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 very stifled. He was stifled in this relationship. I feel he's in a marriage from hell. I also feel he's in a job from hell. Wasn't that he wasn't compensated well. I feel he would have also taken his own life is the sense I'm feeling here. And it's funny because I'm seeing he shows me wills, different types of contracts and documents. And this gentleman, it feels like he has to deal with a lot of those types of things, all of the fine print. And it's funny because I don't see him, when he was here, making the moves that would have been best for himself. And he's just saying here, I want to say your own relationship, this is for you. He's not perfect, but you want to keep him. And there's someone who's coming in here from Spirit who's protective of you, who's in the world. I feel like a brother. He's a big brother. And I just want to say here that they've protected you from getting into relationships that would have actually not been good for you, is what I'm being shown here. So even though she's difficult to deal with, I don't feel you're going to get rid of her. Okay? And they're also, someone's bringing in, it's a kayak type boat, is what I'm being shown, but I feel I'm actually in the ocean with this. And I feel like I want to do more stuff like that. I feel like I'm going to want to do sailboating, literally. So there's a need for you to do more things of that sort as well. So, and I do a lot of stuff in Oceania, New Zealand, Australia, but I'm seeing actually that part of the world as well. I feel a real draw to. So I'm going to leave you with all of that, and I'm going to say God bless you. And I'll come to this woman. You were singing so nice during the whole thing. I'm just joking. Because you kept your mouth shut.
I forgot the numbers after a while.
No, it's okay. May I come to you, please? Of course. All right, God bless you. The first thing I'm feeling here is there's a gentleman who's joking a lot, and he's so tempted. If he was here, Daisy wouldn't want him in here. You know why? We'd have the cops over here and he'd be handcuffed, because I just feel taking stuff. And it's funny because I feel if I were a young woman, not just a young woman, actually it could be anybody, and he gave me a gift, I'd want to know where he got that gift from. Because I see him taking things. And I just see him, I see him when he was younger, he would have gotten in trouble for things like that. But then I'm seeing him older, and he's still doing the same type of stuff as what I'm being shown here. Now, why they're talking about this is there's someone on a physical plane, this is younger generation than you, they need to suffer the consequences, for their actions. And I just want to say with you, you're going to feel like, my gosh, that's not good. We have to help this person. You don't want to enable someone else, is what I'm feeling here. And I want to say here that you can see right through people. So whatever this person's, and I'm going to use the word alibi, whatever their story is, it doesn't really measure up. You know, they might be saying all this stuff, but actually they're guilty of whatever they're being accused of. And they need, for their growth, and I feel they're younger, so, you know, sort of like they go through this now, it's going to help them so they don't keep that whole pattern. The guy that's coming through here from Spirit, I just see him not, and this is someone who's definitely, I don't see him as being poor, you know, economically in a bad place. I just feel he does this stuff. And I also see him getting away with it. And I don't feel there's really a lot of repercussions for it from people in his family as well as the sense I'm getting here. And I feel as he's coming through here from Spirit, I just feel him helping you with that particular situation is what I'm being shown here. And I just want to say here, what matters is, you know, if someone's actually done something, they need to learn from that. Why? You know, so that they don't repeat the same situation, so to speak. And I looked at your eyes, and then I saw the third eye. So I just want to say here that you're going to be connecting a lot more. And there's a woman that comes in here from Spirit, and I'm actually smelling some type of soup. I'm smelling different types of foods here. So don't be surprised if they use the smell as a way of actually mentally communicating with you, is what I'm getting here. And it's not scary. They're all around. And also, you've got a lot of spices, she says. You need to throw these spices out because they're old spices. Like they're, you know, they're stale spices. And I just feel she's saying, I'm tasting the food, and it's like, yuck. You know, if someone put, I don't know what the spices are, but you put the stale stuff in. She likes your cooking, but she doesn't, so you need to get more. She's also taught, I feel this woman, I feel like I would have grown my own stuff too, you know, and so I just want to say with you, don't be so frugal that way. So I'm going to leave you with all of that. And
That part makes sense. The first part, not at all, but this part makes sense. Thank you.
well, the individual that's coming in here from Spirit, I just want to say here, there's someone very privileged, this younger generation, very entitled, and I just feel them, I feel like they're being accused. I'm not sure if they went and, you know, ripped something off and they get accused of it or what, but what they're going to say, they're going to say, well, I didn't do this, I had no part of it. They did. They're guilty with whatever this is. And they need to, you know, face the consequences, whatever it is. And that's within your own vibration. I'm not sure the whole context of it. And may I come, God bless you, may I come to you, please? Sure. I'm really glad to see you. The first word I heard the word dependable is what I'm being shown here. And it's interesting because I have someone who, it feels more like Vietnam when I'm getting the memories with this. I don't feel I'm going way back, but I feel I'm with somebody who, it's like a medic, you know, someone who was in a combat situation. If you were shot, you're bleeding to death, this guy would go patch people up. And I'm seeing photographs of him. He's in a hospital type environment, surrounded by people who he actually saved or he contributed to saving their lives. And it's interesting because I don't see him wanting to be in a war situation, but for whatever reason, he got into the, you know, he volunteered to be a medic, you know, to be someone who would work with that in a combat situation here. And I feel that as he's gone to the spirit world, he works with, you know, people, younger guys in war situations that pass over violently is what I'm being shown here. I just see him around that all. I'm hearing a lot of, you know, machine gun fire, and I feel like I'm in a combat type of situation here. I also feel with this particular gentleman, they used to call it shell shock, they call it post-traumatic stress syndrome. I feel this guy had a lot of that. But, you know, again, he was involved in saving lives, but I also just feel he's around a lot of people he would not have been able to save. And I feel him later on dealing with on a psychological level with all those types of issues is what I'm being shown here. Now, I just want to say with you have brought into this life from very young, I feel like I'm having nightmares, I'm having recollections in my head, and I can't explain any of it. Like, what the heck? Because again, you came right back pretty soon. There was not a long period between when you took birth and from when you would have actually passed over here. And I just see you passing over very, 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 very young. I mean, you could be like 16, 17, pretty young. It's a war type of situation here. And I see you coming back relatively soon. So there wasn't a lot of, within the transition process between is what I'm being shown here. And I just want to say here, with where you're at right now, you're still dealing with a lot of those, they're like post-traumatic, but it's nothing to do with your family. Nothing, like if you're a kid, or even now, if I was a shrink, I wouldn't be able to figure it out, because has nothing to do with any of that. It doesn't matter even how much I try to make it to have something to do with it. It's absolutely nothing to do with it. So I just want to say here, I also see you symbolically like a priest. So there's this whole draw here to go in, and I want to minister to other people. And I want to sit down with people where there's conflict and have them actually work things out here. You absolutely abhor any type of war, any type of violence or conflict between other people here. And I just feel you in a situation, you not being able to get out. It's funny. I feel like I'm not sure if I'm in a tank or in an armored vehicle, and it's intense heat, and it's like almost a smothering, combined with a claustrophobic type of feeling at the same time. A lot of those types of feelings, I feel like I put you in an elevator, I put you in a small space, you would have trouble with it. I feel, put you around explosives, or, hey, this oil could, explode, this gas could, you don't want to be near the tank, you see, or fire, things of this type of sort here. And I feel here, as they're coming through your spirit, the healers are working. But again, your work with people here is also helping you to receive the healing in what's coming through you. And I do feel there is someone who comes in here from, this is also within family vibration here. He's very proud of you, and he was feel he's clergy, is what I'm being shown here. And he's coming in here, and he's giving me a lecturing. So the woman, she's kind of very skinny, smaller. She comes in behind. And I just feel, and I'm hearing that song, Hello, Dolly. And I want to give you the name Dolly. And I just want to say here, and also there's like a Pauline or Polly too. It's another name that's also coming in here from Spirit that I want to give you. And there's I want to also go into the 1950s with this, and I want to talk about a young girl who disappeared. Nobody knew what happened to her. Everybody searched. And I just want to say, this is before they had those Amber Alerts. This is before, and there was someone who was very, very, very creepy, and that's what happened to her, you see. And I just want to say that man has had to suffer as he's gone to the world of the Spirit, is what I'm being shown here. He is around you, and I just want to talk about with you, there's a lot of healing that is taking place with what's happened to you. And down the road, I do see you working with people who have suffered like abusive types of things happening to them, being able to work with them. And I looked at your face, and it completely changed into that of a Native American with a headdress. Now that's a guide, but I also felt I want to go to one of the tribes out west, because you would have been like a medicine type of person with one of them in a past life. And I really feel if I took you to like Nevada or New Mexico, you would feel like you were home. And they're bringing you the sage, is what I'm feeling here. I'm smelling it. And I feel those traditions are part of your heritage. So you need to pursue that on a soul level, because that's going to help bring the other aspects of healing complete within your own life. I'm going to leave you with that and say God bless you. And I'm going to work with you later, so I should probably do that. Let's see. Who's never been to something like this before? My gosh. Well, I got to go all the way in the back. We've got the Minnie Mouse, Mickey Mouse, the pumpkin stuff. May I come to you, please? All right, God, because I saw a lightning bolt go into you. And that's the power of God, and that's the power through it. Someone's saying you're a witch. Now, that's a positive thing. I just want to say here that you can read other people's minds. And there's a man that comes in here from the spirit world. He doesn't believe in this. He's quite fatherly. He's an older gentleman. And he's really evaluating this. Like, I see him going, he's very argumentative. I see him going to the spirit world, being very argumentative when he got there. I mean, and it's not, there's no reason, he doesn't need to be that way, is what I'm feeling here. Now, it's interesting because this is not the kind of person in a general sense you'd normally want around, because he's difficult to deal with. However, you are doing all the things the right way, and you're helping me, he says. And he's bringing in a lot of books. He has so many books. Now, he likes me. I've got tons of books at home. I've got like 7 bookcases. But he's got lots of books. It's like a whole library. These are all his own collection here. And it's funny because I feel after he passed to the spirit world, when I examine, physically all of the different types of books, I mean, it's really, they're not just things that I want to throw out. Like, do I want to give these to a library, or what do I want to actually do with them, is what I'm feeling. Because he puts a lot of value on, intellectual growth, the knowledge, education, this type of thing is what I'm feeling here. You do too. Now, right now, you're trying to do too many things all at once. Education is what you need to pursue. It's not here. I feel even like I could be going abroad, but you need to study and you need to go forward with things. Now, you have to realize that the people around you within your own relationships, they're not the ones who you want to listen to when it comes to this. You need to do what's best for yourself is what I'm being shown here. And he's giving you his blessing. And I want to say if he were here, he would almost try to control you and stifle you, is the sense I'm thinking. He was like this with people. Very, 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 very demanding in terms of how he would have come across here. But he is saying here that despite any kind of opposition you might be getting from others, you're actually doing the right thing, are the words I'm hearing. And he's around, there's a lot of pink energy around him. So I just want to say here that they've also they've brought a lot of healing into his lungs. So I want to go into this here because I'm having a lot of, in terms of the breathing, prior to passing to the spirit world. And he just says this stuff, no consideration of how it affects other people here. And he apologizes for that as he comes through. He's a bit like Scrooge McDuck, if we think about Disney characters. He's not very... Anyway, I'm going to leave you with that and say God bless you. May I come to you, please?
Yes.
All right, God bless you. Well, I saw a nun that comes in here from the world as a spirit. And there's a woman that comes in here, and she's praying the rosary. And she's giving you a rosary. And I'm going to give you like St. Bridget. She's talking about Bridget, this type of name that I'm hearing here. And I want to go to Ireland, okay? And I want to talk about cobblestone streets, and I want to talk about peg, right? And I want to talk about pegs and pork. I should say pigs and pork, because I'm seeing that is what I'm being shown here. And I just want to say here that there's a lot of, I'm a vegetarian, so I wouldn't want to hurt any pig, but they actually have a big pig here that they've prepared. And I just want to say with you've got very large ears because you can hear spirit. And you can see spirit. You can sense them, and you're overwhelmed by it in a good way. And it's almost like it's just so much. I want to do it all, literally all at the same time. You can't stop talking. And it comes in, I work very quick on a quick vibration. You're the same way. You just get very, very, very quick. And I feel like if I were going to get a reading with you, you could put cards down, you could look at the cards, you could tell me everything about myself. People can't handle that. Now, there's a time and a place for that. Like I was talking before, we want to turn it on, we don't want to turn it off. Keep your mouth shut. Unless it's a certain context, then you can say everything. The name Teresa is coming in here also from the spirit world. Now, this woman, she would not approve of any of this. I also feel, the whole Catholic approach with her too, but in the way she would have interpreted it, would not have been into this. Very, very, very rigid. You're into all sorts of things, but you're a good girl. These are the words I hear. Now, I see you as a young girl. I see you like 12 or 14. And I see you climbing up like sides of buildings and things. They're giving me memories of this. Like these kids who get onto subways and travel around. I just see you doing a lot of very risky things this way. And I want to just say here, there's a guy that comes in here from spirit. I'm more of an acquaintance with this, or friend. And it's funny because he's showing me, they're like subway tunnels, but I feel it would be like if I were up higher and I were going to, because there's the stuff on the top too, it would not be someplace that would be really safe to go into that type of situation here. And I see him as being young and getting into stuff that actually wouldn't have been, it's like unsafe is what I'm being shown here. Now I want to say with you're very wise because your guides have protected you. I wasn't very wise. I'm smelling something here. I'm not sure if this is gas or what type of odor that I'm smelling here. I also just want to say here that I feel he would put himself into a situation that he wasn't actually able to get out of, is the sense I'm feeling here. and he comes in here from spirit. I'm not sure, he definitely would have passed when he's young. I'm not sure the actual age here, but I just want to say here that I was stupid and I put myself in this situation. I do see tracks with all of this. I go into the whole subway type of situation here, and I don't see anyone there. I don't feel people supervising this, or this is something where there's actually no one around with the memories I'm getting here. But he's going to be working with you. He's also a bit of a runaway. This is someone who I don't see him. You know, it'd be like if I were his parent, maybe he's there. You know, go off for 5 days and you never see him, or 13. I mean, he's not. I see him going off and doing his own thing. This is what I'm being shown here. And he's trying to act very tough. So if he's 14, he's going to say he's a lot older than he actually is. And he's giving me fake IDs, and you still have some of your fake IDs. And you were very good at doing fake IDs for other people, he says. I just want to say that he liked you when he was here. But he's coming in here, and he's giving you a fake ID of a girl from the world of spirit. And she passed the world of spirit, but she was very good with saying that she was older than she actually was. Now, it's funny, because I look at her. She might be 15, but she's talking like she's 19. She's stuffed her chest so she looks like they're larger. And she's telling these guys that she's a lot older than she is, and they're adults. And I just want to say, I see her getting into a situation that I could not get out of. No one could hear me. And I want to just say here that you were protected. They protected you from those types of situations happening. And you always listen to that. Now, the police department is across the street. Had you gone into law enforcement, you would be a very good detective, is what they're saying here. And there's a man from spirit, this is also within your family, who worked in law enforcement. And he's saying, if you were to go to the police academy, he would get you into the investigative. And I want to talk about like missing kids, even international type of work. I just feel there's an interest here. And I feel that the girl that comes in here from spirit, I don't really feel it ever really being resolved what actually happened to her. You know, like the details of it is what I'm being shown here, because whoever she got connected with did a very good job of covering things up, is what I'm hearing as she comes in here from spirit. So as you develop your mediumship down the road, I do see you being one of these people who voluntarily gets involved in the detective, psychic detective type, you know, missing people, cold cases, crimes, those types of things. So I'm going to leave you with that. And they're bringing a lot of healing to your solar plexus. You see, and I just feel I'm going to put my hand here, because I just want to say here, you've taken a lot that's been almost like ripped out from you, and they're bringing that back in. So I'm going to leave you with that, and I'm going to say, God bless you.